Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk movies, television, and wrestling. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for Volume 2 of Stranger Things Season 5. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Share them to leave a like, comment below, and know your thoughts on Stranger Things Volume 2. And, of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I will greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? So, when Volume 1 came out, because, the show is very polarizing. It got even more polarizing here in Volume 2. But I remember, for the most part, everyone online, everyone who was watching it, everyone I was talking with, they really enjoyed Volume 1. Episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm one of them. Episode 4, I believe, is one of the highest rated episodes out of the whole entire run, of the whole entire series. And again, I thought, they really complemented each other very well. And, those 4 hours really flew by. And then here we are, we're getting to Volume 2. And I heard we were going to have 3 movies. Each episode was, the shortest one was going to be an hour and 30 minutes. But no, they were all relatively normal runtimes. Hour and 4. I think the longest one was maybe hour 10, maybe hour 15, being episode 7. And, we hear these rumbles of, it's going to be a dark Christmas. It's going to be all these different things. And, my main thing going into this volume is that, yes, it should be. It should be a very dark Christmas because you need to feel like Vecna can win, right? And I will say, because, in season 4, we beat him, right? We win. We beat Vecna. And we even emphasize it more in this episode, episode 7, when everything's starting to break down and they're starting to go over the plan. Oh, yeah, he was licking his wounds because we won. We beat him. Oh, but then they try to say, well, he was always playing something. No, we won. And then here in the first 4 episodes of Volume 1, where we actually have an upbeat ending because Will gets powers, but not really. He's just connected to the hive mind, and he just realized he can take control of it if so needed. And it's just okay, well, he technically lost again because it really felt like he was going to win. He got the kids, yes, sure, so he won that battle, but he definitely didn't win the war. So here I was like, we might need to lose a couple of characters, and just so we can really feel the weight and really feel like, hey, anything can happen when we get into this final episode, right? And overall, we didn't do that. And I will say overall, that's one of the problems that I have with this volume. I reciprocate most people where I say this volume to me was a little bit of a disappointment. I do think it didn't flow as well from 5 to 6 and from 6 to 7. It does really good. I want the next episode. I want the next episode. I want the next episode. As, for volume 1, I do feel like there was a beginning, a middle, and end within that volume. Right? Okay, we know we're going to break here. Here's a good solid ending note. Okay, and I felt very satisfied. Here, I did feel like at the end of episode 7, there was an episode ending. And sure, that should be the point of it. But, granted, we only got to wait a week, right? So I'm not as upset about it. But again, if you were going to break this up, I needed to feel like a beginning, a middle, and an end in a lot of ways. And again, that ending, preferably, would have felt like, wow, Vecna could actually win. And at the end of this, I still have full confidence that our heroes are going to get the job done. And they're going to win it. And they're not even going to just win. They're probably going to do it very convincingly. And no one is going to die anymore. I no longer feel like we're going to lose anyone when we get to that finale. Because I just don't know who you would lose at this point. I feel like we had our opportunities to do that. I know the leading candidates were, Steve and Hopper. But, Steve kind of has his moment with Dustin when, after they had their big fight, which I actually liked. I actually liked the blocking of the fight, too, where Steve is not trying to punch him whatsoever. It's Dustin who's all the offense. And then once he gets a couple of licks in, Steve's like, I'm done. I just can't do this anymore. And I like the conversation that led up to it for a little bit, even though sometimes it did feel a little out of character. But, I think Steve did need to call Dustin out. Look, you are purposely getting into these situations. You are purposely trying to get yourself hurt. Now, when he says, crap, I always forget. When Eddie did what he did, he was dumb. He didn't need to do that, and it's your fault or whatever. Yeah, that was a little out of line. But, when you're in this thing where you just want your buddy back, and, they're being unreasonable, so you got to be unreasonable. It's it felt very natural to me. I do feel like, damn, Steve, you shouldn't have said that. But I could see where they were coming from. And then again, Dustin had every right to punch him. And again, Steve was just like, no. Gets the punch. I'm not going to fight back. I'm just going to walk away. And then there we go. We move on. But you know, later on, I believe it's kicking off episode 6 where they kind of resolve it. He goes, no, I can't lose you too. I can't. You're always trying to get yourself hurt. You're always trying to get yourself hurt. Where, you know, they're kind of mirroring each other. Well, Dust is purposely trying to get him antagonized. Steve is trying to be hero because that's who Eddie was, right? So he's trying to live up to the Eddie moniker in a lot of ways. And then it's like, no, I just need you to be okay. Like it was a very good moment. Like it got me a little teary-eyed. So therefore now I don't think Steve can go at this point because that was the arc. Like, because yeah, throughout the whole entire season, Steve's always getting himself in trouble to save the kids, right? And he's always trying to save someone and help someone. Now it's just like, okay, well, now I need to protect myself so I can make sure I'm there for my buddy. And it was a nice moment them in episode 7. You die, I die. You die, I die. That was a really good moment. I really did enjoy that. I like that whole entire journey that we went on within it. So he can't go. Hopper had his opportunity in Volume 1. And now, you know, Elle, who's the only one who, her conflict is still not resolved. Hey, I'm mad at you for trying to commit suicide. Then she talks, I can't remember 8's name. Val, I think it's what it is, or is it Vel? But anyway, she's talking with 8. Hey, you know what we should do? We should kill ourselves once we get up there, which I kind of see where she is coming from. So I'm going to be curious to see how that's going to play out in this 2-hour and 30-minute finale, where supposedly I can't trust the run times anymore because, again, I was led to believe we were getting 3 movies in this. But now that Will's going to be there so they can get into Vecna's mind, which I was like, Will has to be in that room too. It can't just be Elle and 8. It just can't. Will has to be in there in some way, shape, or form. So that's going to be interesting to see. I also really liked but yeah, Hopper had his chance to die. Now I don't think he's going to. I really like the scene between Nancy and Jonathan. I know there is a big debate on the writing was bad on that. I thought it was great writing, personally, to me. I think that was a good showcase. Like, oh yeah, no, it was just great for those characters. But I think it was just a healthy relationship that came to its end. And both partners realized that. I don't think it was necessarily character driven. Their relationship was really healthy all the way through. And, you know, the way that they were talking, you know, Jonathan even bring out the ring and goes, I really thought this would just fix everything. I thought we would just get married. Now I realize how stupid that was. And, you know, the whole, I just don't understand why people were confused that was a breakup scene. When literally the ending of that scene is, would you accept my unproposal? You know what I mean? So that one was a little, just by the masses, was a little confusing on. But I thought the way they were going back and forth, I hate how you do this, or I hate how you do that. I hate how we are like this when we're both like that. Like, you know, it was just all these different things, all these comments, like, why do we do that? I don't know. And the whole, I loved you, I still love you. Like, again, that was a very healthy breakup with the whole, hey, you know, I love you, I care about you, I want you to be in my life. We just aren't compatible to be partners. So maybe Nancy or Jonathan can go. I know that was on the chopping block as well, and maybe that would be somewhat fitting. Out of the two, I think maybe Nancy can go because I really don't want her to be back with Steve. If her goal is like, hey, I don't know what I want. I've only had Steve, and he knows what he wants. I've been with you. I've only been, you know, with my guy, right? And trying to fulfill my guy. I don't know what Nancy wants, so maybe I don't necessarily want her to go. But yeah, great scene between the two. I just don't know where their ending is at this point. Everything we did with Will was a little bit frustrating throughout because, you know, he finally gets his power. He gets this big boasted confidence. Joyce finally gets a scene to explain her plan. That's another problem with this whole entire arc. I felt like it was just exposition after exposition after exposition and picking the wrong times to do these explanations, two in particular, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But, you know, he's finally getting powers. He goes to fight Vecna. He gets in his mind. He can't kill him, so therefore he automatically thinks he's weak. And then he goes into the mind, and then, you know, he's being his spy again to find out what Max is, so now he's scared. And then he comes back around. Like, it just felt like, okay, now we're going to resort Will back to where he was at the beginning of the season. Until we get to where we're going to end off with him in episode 7, where, you know, he comes out that he is gay. And, you know, good scene. Again, I just think it was the wrong time for it. Now, the other scene was when Max and Holly have their conversation before Max comes back to Earth, right? When she gains consciousness back in the real world as opposed to Comatraz. I forgot where the place is. Still don't fully know how she got there. but hey, it is what it is. I know she went through the whole dream sequences and all that, and that's how she stumbled upon, but still. But when Max and Holly are having the conversation, I was like, y'all could have had this conversation in multiple different times throughout this whole entire show. I guess Will's makes somewhat more sense, and I will say when we got to Will's scene, I was like, man, this ain't the time for it. Why are we stopping everything? We need to go to war. Like, that's where my mind was at. But man, when they cut to Jonathan, as he started to explain, Jonathan knows what Will's about to do. And, if you've ever been in that situation and you are, understanding or reciprocated, I don't know if that's the right word, of who they truly are, right? Gay, lesbian, bi, whatever. And they finally feel comfortable enough for them to come out to you. But you already knew, right? Like you had an idea, but you're being respectful. You're going to wait for them to come out and say it. You're not going to be that person to go, hey, are you gay, right? And I don't know, like, I'm actually getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. But, when he starts to talk and Jonathan realizes, oh my God, he's going to come out. And this sense of pride that comes over him, oh man, I'll tell you, I immediately forgave the timing of when Will decided to come out. I thought it was very beautiful at that point. And, even when they cut to Mike, I don't fully buy. I know they say, oh, Mike just didn't realize that, oh, Will had a crush on me. No, I think he always had an idea about it. He just didn't know how to handle it. But, there's still friendship, brotherhood. They all come together. Again, the whole scene was really, really good. I just didn't think it was necessarily the right time. Even with Max and Holly's scene, when they were in the Upside Down. Great scene of them talking to each other. But as they were talking to each other, I was like, y'all need to go. Y'all know this mofo can show up at any moment, and he knows this is the destination. He could pop up at any moment. I heard the argument that, oh, well, they know that he was in the cage, or that he's afraid of the cave, so therefore he wasn't going to show up, so therefore they knew they had time. And I know Max was like, oh, I don't need the music anymore. Cool, but like, again, y'all could have had this conversation in the cage. Y'all could have had this conversation in episode 5, right? As they were talking about, hey, let's get back to our bodies. Well, I don't know what my body is. Well, you have to find your sanction. I have to find mine. There's going to be 2 different ones. You can't go with me. Like, I feel like that conversation was very, very, like, again, it was just placed wrong. We could have had that in episode 5 as they were going through Holly's memories, right? We could have had that going through. So how does this work when we get over there? Well, you're going to have to find your hole. I'm going to have to find mine. And then we could have had the whole Holly, the heroic speech during those moments. And then when we get to the thing, like, okay, goodbye, hug. And then slow motion run then. Because the other thing that frustrated me with that one, they have this long talk. It's about 20 minutes. And you're going, y'all need to hurry up. Y'all need to wrap this up. Y'all need to wrap this up. Like, we're facing the clock. Which is good because, we should be like, please get going because we're really attached to the characters, right? But when they say goodbye and they start walking to their tunnels, they're walking towards their tunnels. And I'm just like, why are you walking? Why aren't you like, okay, goodbye? And immediately running and then do the slow motion effect in post, right? They got there eventually, but Jesus Christ. I was just like, I know y'all trying to make this a big moment. There were other ways to make this a really big moment. Is what I am trying to say. But again, overall, good scene, just wrong placement. Same with Will's scene. Good, very good scene. It actually got me teary-eyed. I was crying. Again, I just overall think it was still the wrong placement. I forgive it though for when they chose to cut to people and how there was like, there was also when they cut to Robin and Robin was like crying and you just see Steve's hand on her because Steve also realizes what's going on and he's still the only one that knows, hey, we got 2 gay people in here. Let me comfort my friend here. It was really, again, it was a very, very good scene. It was just the wrong placement. And again, when it comes overall to the main issue with this, because look, I could kind of forgive, hey, we're going to win. I have come to the conclusion that we're going to have a happy ending here, and I don't really need to feel the threat of Vecna. I've learned to let that go. It would add a lot more to my viewing of the final episode if we were able to do that. But hey, I don't necessarily need it. Big emotional moments between characters at the wrong time. Hey, as long as it's a really good scene, I can overall forgive it. The one true criticism I have of this episode, though, is that this explaining everything. Like, it just really felt like, okay, now we got to stop everything. And like, we have to do this in a quirky way of explaining, all right, we got to grab these two things here. And, you know, they're going, okay, this is Hawkins. Okay. And this is the Upside Down. And also them re-explaining the Upside Down too. Like, you know, we're bringing in the teacher. That's cool. So there's another character to the piece. And, you know, they're explaining everything to him. Hey, we have this place called the Upside Down. We have all this. We have all that. I'm just like, do they really expect people who never watched Stranger Things 1 through 4 then to come into 5? Now, we do learn the true nature of the Upside Down in this episode, how it is a portal between worlds, and that Henry is trying to merge the two together so he can have full control over everything, right? Like, it's not just another dimension, it's a portal, it's a bridge. So I did like that, and that explanation, yeah, we needed. But, you know, when they're talking to the physics teacher and they're explaining the Upside Down knowing about the bridge, I'm just like, we don't need this. Like, because, like, yeah, we caught him up as we headed over here. We caught him up on everything. Like, Erica, when they go, you did explain everything to him? I'm like, yeah, no, they probably should have explained everything to him. Like, yeah, we caught him up on everything. Because I just don't feel like us as an audience necessarily needed us to see them explain it to him, because we already know what the Upside Down is, or what they think the Upside Down is, right? And then we could have saved the double explanation when everyone's back in the room, and, you know, it really just feel like Avengers Endgame in a lot of ways. Everyone's going through the plan and bouncing off of each other. Here's what we should do to do this and do that. But yeah, that one I didn't necessarily enjoy. And also, again, like, constantly, okay, this is Hawkins, this is this. Like, Joyce had an explanation of a plan. Then Erica had an explanation of a plan. And then Lucas had an explanation of a plan. And then, of course, there was Mike. Like, we did a lot in episodes 1 through 4, but I really felt like we doubled down on it in a lot of ways. Then we had, you know, the Holly, dipshit Derek, and, you know, they're explaining their plan to go out, which also, I don't know why Derek needed to go into the woods. Like, it really didn't feel like Henry knew at all. And, you know, if they sneaked out and no one knew, they could have gotten much farther if Derek wasn't there. Like, that felt like, because Henry didn't know that Holly left until Derek left for the woods, right? So that one was just like, I don't know. And again, that's another part of why Henry just doesn't feel like that big of a threat. You're in his mind. He created this whole place. How does he not see all of everything that's going on about this, and that they were able to get so far before Henry showed up, and he needed someone else to rat them out in order to do so. So yeah, those kinds of problems there. And again, the constant explaining of plans. Steve had one which I felt was really good, like how he's no longer just the brute, and, you know, the muscle, the punching, and all of that. He is capable of, you know, hey, here's the plan, here's the slinky, here's what we do. We wait for it to come down. 11 gets close enough, bada bing, bada boom, bombs your uncle. But yeah, that was really truly the only true criticism I have of this whole volume, is that it did feel like the exposition volume of everything. I am so excited for the finale. I am still, you know, gung-ho, ready for it. You know, I am ready to cry, because I am sad that the show is ending. I know a lot of people are trying to dunk on it in a lot of ways. I just don't subscribe to that whatsoever. I still think it was a very good show. And I'm not going to dismiss this season anymore, just because, yeah, compared to Volume 1 and Volume 2 was a step down. All 4 of those episodes of Volume 1 are going to be ranked higher than the episodes here in Volume 2. For sure, absolutely. But still, they were very fun. I was still enjoying. Yeah, there were some pacing issues. I felt like, man, these episodes feel longer than what they really are. There were times where I had to stop it and pause it and go, how much longer do we have of this? Damn, we still got all of this to go through. But again, overall, I had a good time. I am happy with the scenes that we got. It's just some of the placement just didn't work overall. But, you know, that's what I think of this volume. Let me know what you think of it. Man, we went long on this. I didn't think it was going to be that far, because, again, I only have one true criticism of it. But let me know what your thoughts on it is down in the comment section. Let's have a conversation about it. Leave a like on this video if you made it this far. I do greatly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, as I am trying to grow into my YouTube career. And don't forget to squeeze the days, guys, because life is too short not to give you. Also, squeeze every opportunity that you can. Until next time, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.